Let me start with my community culture experience. Instead of going to Mexico, I had a community culture exploration project, which was really fun. For this project, I was supposed to place myself out of my comfort zone. Actually, it took me more than a week to decide what activity I should involve in. At that time, I really wish I could have been to Mexico with my classmates. These pictures are from my friends. Well, hopefully I'm gonna get a chance to visit sometime. Experiencing cultural difference is important because our country, workplaces, and schools increasingly consist of various cultural, racial, and ethnic groups. We can learn from one another, but first, we must have a level of understanding about each other in order to facilitate collaboration and cooperation. Frankly speaking, selecting the activity which would put me out of my comfort zone is really not an easy work. I am a very positive person and always feel excited to meet new friends. So it is quite not easy for me to feel uncomfortable. I discussed the project with my friends for suggestions. Considering I don't have a religious affiliation, finally they suggest me to go to a local church, which is served by Americans. They do not offer translation service during the worship, which is all conducted in English. What's more, my friends have never been to that church either. That means I don't get any chance to get prepared. It's really not easy for me because I don't have any background about Bible or kind of stories. Before coming to States, I knew a little bit about American families going to church on Sunday mornings from the TV show, but that's all I knew. In Distant Education 590, we have studied teaching about religions in June. So I think it should not be a bad idea to visit a local church. Last Sunday, I went to Trinity Park Church, and this Sunday, I went to Providence Baptist Church with my friends. I had a great experience. There were fun stories, great music, comfortable surroundings. I feel like I'm watching a live show. Chinese worship is more serious compared to the ones I've been in States recently. In Providence Baptist Church, there are over 2,000 people come here on Sunday morning. 3 worships from 8:30 to 12 about. It also has children learning service in the center. Starts next January. There are going to be full-time teacher volunteers with Providence kids on Sunday mornings, which is amazing. On Sunday morning, I met my friends at their house. Then they took me to the church. Actually, then I was a little bit nervous because I have no idea what I was supposed to do and say there. I asked them what I should specifically notice in case that I might do something improper. They told me just to be relaxed. The only thing I was thinking about was I don't want to be stupid. Luckily, there was an order of worship given to us. Then I could follow the order not to ask questions all the time. In general, I had a great morning with different families. I really enjoyed singing the songs and listening to Bible stories. And I was pretty impressed that there were many young children coming with their parents, and they were really behaved during the worship. Now let me tell you something about my interesting experience. I was totally lost when the pastoral was talking about one of the Bible chapters. He was trying to use some other Bible stories to explain the chapter, which I had never heard about. I realized then that I had the same feeling when I was watching American TV shows. There were too many background information I didn't know, but for native speakers, they could naturally relate these stories together. And when they were laughing something interesting, I was like, what's that? And my friends explained to me, then I realized that I just don't know the story at all. All of these background knowledge makes our culture really diverse. That's also an important factor that why we feel culture shock when we come to a different country. According to my experience, the first point I want to discuss is the cultural influence. It is very obvious that Chinese students are not quite interested in all kinds of activities at school. Even going to church, they prefer to go to Chinese church instead of American ones. Part of the reason is that Chinese students' English is not good enough. However, in my opinion, cultural background has more influence on it. As well as I know that the class participation is an important factor in American classroom. The foundation of Chinese education was based on Confucius, which requires that students had to be obedient and quiet in class and listen to teachers' directions. So schools and parents pay too much attention on students' academic performance. It is believed that if a child doesn't work harder than others, this kid may fall behind. As a result, she or he may not be able to have a good future. Being aware of that, when I go back to my classroom, I am planning to help my students expose more to different cultures. I could invite my parents to take part in my teaching. Parents and students could work together to introduce their customs in their hometown. Learning the difference of human geography could help students build their cultural awareness. As the twig is bent, so grows the tree is the maxim that express well the significance of learning early influence on the worldview of any person. As a teacher, I feel I'm responsible for creating a culturally responsive environment for all of my students. I hope that they're gonna experience less culture shock when they go to a different country in the future. Thank you. Have a great summer. See you soon.